Let's do this.
Welcome to the Driven Moms Answering Adversity interview series, stories of success through setbacks from Mom Elevated. Together, we can shine a light on how normal challenges and struggles are, along with how we can overcome and rise above them. Today, we have Beverly with us to share her story, and I'm super excited. I can't wait to hear. So, can you please briefly tell us about your story?
So, my name is Beverly. I am a photographer, stay-at-home mom to the most darling cowboy princess, you name it. She's got the horses, rider from the Paw Patrol, and then princess, all combined into one. And I love her. And my husband is a over-the-road long-haul trucker. So, the reason I got into side hustles as a mom was to bring him home more often.
That is beautiful. I'm excited. Also, my daughter would be very jealous. She loves horses and wants to be a cowgirl princess, but we do not. But I love that. So with that, what adversity is it that you have answered, and how did you answer that exactly?
So, this generation of moms, we were working. I started working at 15. And then we go through life working, and then we get married and we have children. And we worked. We had our time. We had our money coming through. We have children. We want to be a stay-at-home focused mom with our kids, or some of us go to work. But I'm going to be the stay-at-home mom because that's me. We start losing our identity because we used to be our own hero. And now we switch our hero to, we don't change our hero, but now our husband is the one bringing the money in. We're staying home taking care of the kids. And sometimes we lose our identity in that. We lose ourselves as a hero. And so what I had to learn how to do is to re-identify my new hero, because I was 31 when I met my husband, and I I had my job, I had my car, I had my home. I was very well set. And then when I got pregnant, I got really, really sick, and I couldn't work. I mean, if they had a bar bucket job, I could have done really well at that job. Like, if you need puke, I've got you. It the pregnancy was kind of, it buried me. And because, I mean, we're all moms. We know what happens. We wake up, we puke.
Yes.
So I got lost in the just trying to keep my baby alive because I got so sick that my daughter became my identity. She was why I got up in the morning. She was why I tried to force myself to eat when I knew it was going to come right back up. And so she became my identity. And then we're taking care of our kids, and then we see all our friends still out working, or like my sisters all had their children in their 20s, and so I'm having mine in my 30s. And so we see our sisters or our friends out doing their next, um I guess you would say, the next step, because their kids are now 10 and they're all going to school,
Yeah.
and you're just starting out. So you're not on the same playing field. You switched roles, I guess you might say, where now they're out doing their career and they're out doing what you used to call your fun stuff. Because now they have their freedom from their kiddos, and you're just going into that stage of being the mom.
Yeah.
And so we lose our identity in that. And so we have to figure out ways to still find our identity. And so my struggle is trying to find my identity after being given birth to my child. And like I said, we were the boss babes, I guess you might say. We were the ones that were out doing our jobs. We were out making the money. And then we quit. And then all of a sudden instead of two incomes in, you're only one. So you have to kind of sacrifice a little bit of your just wants and desires that you had going there. So I think, in my opinion, it is so good for every mom to have a side hustle, because that helps them keep their identity there, because they were the worker. They were the one that had these dreams. And keep a side hustle. If you went in for nursing, if you went in for accounting, keep a side hustle in that. Like, maybe post about it and teach other people just little tips and tricks about it. But keep your identity. Like, I'm a photographer. I um I got back into it when I had my daughter, because we kind of had a rough experience with the photographer that took our pictures. And I'm like, hey, I'm really good at photography. I used to do it. Then I went into another career. I'm going to bring it back in, and we're going to figure out how to do this. So I started my photography business on the side. And now my daughter comes in, she'll see the backdrop put up, and she'll come in, strike a pose, and she's like, take a picture, and she's this 2.5-year-old, and she comes running in, take a picture. And I'm like, just a minute, I gotta get the camera.
I think that's
But
beautiful.
but these are moments that we can get back. And I am very grateful for the opportunity to stay home and experience all the firsts, because some moms can't. Some moms have to go to work and support their child. And I'm lucky to have a husband that has a good enough job that I don't have to. But the side hustle is for my identity.
So what is it? I think that's beautiful, first of all. I think that sums it up so nicely, because they are so dependent on you, especially for the first couple of years, that you just lose kind of a sense of yourself, because you are busy making sure this little being stays alive and flourishes, right? But what is it that do you think that made you feel confident enough to be like, you know what? When you had that bad experience being like, I am really great at photography. I could probably do something with this, even with the little pockets of time that I do have while focusing on raising my baby. What do you think it was that clicked, that just went, oh, this makes sense? Because a lot of people, it's not just about their identity, because I don't think a lot of people even realize that their career path might be part of their identity. Like, that's just a job to them, right? So when they lose their job, they're like, I don't know what to do. But it's kind of fascinating to think those are the skills that they have. And that is something they can tap into in a different respect, not necessarily in a job, but in that side hustle where you're teaching somebody, or you're like, you know what, I have an hour here. I can figure something out to do with those skills that I have developed in that area.
Um, so this is probably not the right way to do it, but I got angry. I was just like, you little stinkers. First of all, going through that experience, I was just like, be always open and honest and upfront. Always open, honest, and upfront with everyone. Always set your boundaries, and always let people know where your boundaries are. I mean, you don't have to come in guns a blazing and saying, we're here for war because this is our boundaries. No, you just say, hey, you know what? These are where I stand. And your posture and your day-to-day appearance will set that boundary.
Yeah.
And
What do you think it is about entrepreneurs that makes you continue through those challenges without giving up when the times get tough? Because that's really what makes or break it, I think is when you face something that is like, it's either sink or swim time. When the times get really challenging and you're like, I am raising this tiny human, and that's really important to me. But this other piece of me is really important too. What do you think it is about entrepreneurs that are like, well, I'm going to continue on, I'm going to push through, I'm not just going to let it fall away, I'm going to keep going?
I think early childhood experiences kind of set the ground for entrepreneurship. And the reason I say that is backstory. My father was killed in a car accident along with my older sister when I was 14. And we went from having money to not, because my mom was a stay-at-home mom. Yes, my father had life insurance, but to see stability
Yeah.
so shaky, and I was lucky. I had a stable home till I was 14. But I had a stable home. I grew up with my parents that loved each other. I never heard them fighting or anything. So I grew very stable. I mean, yes, I always was like, Mom, I'm gonna be the one that goes and gets a job. I don't need to be a mom. I'm gonna be a boss. And my mom's like, okay, you do that, you know. And the other sisters, they were hauling around their dolls saying, we're gonna go to work. And I'd bring my baby over. Would you tend my baby while I go to work? You know. And so I think to an extent it's part of what every child has their own identity, and you can be raised as a group, but you still have your dreams.
Yeah.
And I think that God gives them to you because he sends us down here to fulfill a mission. And we've got to live to that mission. One of my mentors said something that struck me really well is he says, if you were to die today, what dreams, what advancements are going to die with you? And another mentor says, don't kill my dreams. When you die, don't be buried with answers to my dreams.
Yeah.
So go out and live them. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs, they get a dream, and they realize, you know what? We may think that 9 to 5 job is stable and we're in a secure place, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's not. And so an entrepreneur feels that hunger of, I don't know where my next paycheck's coming from. So I'm going to go get it. And so they have that drive given to them from, I'm a very spiritual person. I say God. Other people may say whatever they want, but I say God. God's the one that gave us the dream, and he's going to give you the steps. He's going to put the things in place for you to fulfill the dream that he gives you.
I love that.
So to me, that's my answer.
That's a great answer. That's a very, very full answer. I love that very much. From that answer, what is your takeaway, your lesson that other mompreneurs might be able to use from your experience?
Never give up. Never, ever, ever, ever give up. Start with baby steps. Don't plan out the whole year. Yes, if you have, like, put things that matter to your family, like if you have a birthday, an anniversary, or a special date that pertains to your family that you celebrate, those are your holidays that you mark off every year. And you plan around those dates because you need to make sure that you don't become so obsessed with your entrepreneurship that you lose your family.
It's beautiful.
So plan around family events and only plan 90 days, a quarter. Plan your quarters. And yes, you can overlap them a little bit, but plan those 90 days. Plan what you're going to do. Set your goals for those 90 days. Then break them down into 6 months or 6 weeks. And then break them down into a month. Then break it down into a week. then break it down into 3 days. And then write down, hey, what am I going to do to meet that mark? Because I have a goal set for this quarter. When we say a year, at the beginning of the year, it's like, oh my goodness, this is going to be a long year. And then you look back and it's like, oh my goodness, that year went fast. And so break it down to where you can see. And if a quarter is too big for you and you can't see that far and it gets too heavy for you, bring it down to 6 weeks. If 6 weeks is just too big and you're just like, I cannot see for the clouds and the storms are all over here, bring it down to a day. Bring it down to a day. Wake up. What am I going to do today before you go to bed? What am I going to do tomorrow to make the life that I want?
I love that so much. I'm a really big advocate for the big picture, but small steps. So I think that is wonderful and a wonderful way to explain it too for those that just, when it is too daunting to think about what the year is. I mean, that seems like such a short time, but it also seems like such a long time that it can be daunting to be like, I don't know even what I should start with, but just start, right? As long as you
Yeah.
just start and you pick something, you can go from there, you can change it, you can alter it. So I think that is so wonderful. Very well said. What is the best way for others to find you if they want to work with you or learn more about what you do with your photography, or if they have any questions for you, if they just really love your vibe and want to connect with you?
If they just want to hang out with this crazy lady.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you can find me on Facebook under Beverly Carlisle or under Royal Black Diamond Photography. Instagram is Royal Royal underscore diamond underscore photos.
Beautiful.
And you can message me or you can email me at royaldiamondphotography@gmail.com.
Wonderful. And I will include those links as well in the description so they can find you more easily also. Is there anything else that you want to leave them with that I may have overlooked or missed, or that you feel just needs to be hit on one last time before we wrap up?
I will say this. We get so busy as moms that we we enjoy the moments, but we forget to stop and say, you know what? Our children aren't going to be little this long forever. And so take the time to enjoy your children. And yes, there's times you want to take them and you know how you can hang up a coat and wait a season before you have to put it back on. Sometimes you want to just, put your child on hold for a minute. But just remember, take a step back and remember and like take the photos. Take your phone out and take the photos. And I'm a photographer and I have a saying, your phones will take the daily photos. I will take your portraits. And don't take a selfie with your kid. Don't forget to get yourself in the camera because pretty soon you look through your phone and you find out that you're missing. And you were there. Be present.
Yeah.
But make sure you get in the photos with your children because I have 3 pictures of my father. One of them has me in it.
Yeah.
And we have family pictures, but be present and show the children that you live. Take the pictures, hang them on the wall. There was a professor that stated children that see their pictures on the wall, they have a sense of security because they're like, the people that we display what we love.
Yeah.
It's a place of honor. If we don't like it, we don't hang it up. So I say we display our family photos, we hang up our clothes. Where do our
Oh,
clothes go? Our clothes go in the closet. The the medals, the things that we're proud of, we display them in a place of honor. So I say display your children's photos. Show them. I mean, if you don't want to go get professional photos, that's fine. Just make sure you're in some of those photos with the children up on the wall. Do a gallery. Do something to show the children, oh my goodness, these people are proud of me. They've displayed my picture on the wall.
that's such a great distinction between hanging up and displaying. I love that. I'm never gonna forget that. That's amazing. And my big thing with pictures is even when we are in them, don't delete them if you don't like it. It's still a memory. Some of my favorite memories are probably my mom's least favorite photos of herself. Just because it brings back, I'm in that moment again. I can remember what it was, and it's so
Well,
fun to
and
relive that.
so many times we look at the photo and we so when I'm taking a photo, I try and capture the moment. I want the photo or the portrait to tell the story of it. So if you're having a bad day and you go to a photographer and you have your photo session or your portrait session and you're having a bad day, well, you want to hang those photos on the wall. Most likely not.
Yeah.
Because every time you see those photos, you're going to be like, oh, so and so's shoes weren't, we couldn't find so and so's shoes. We couldn't find, they have to wear their tiara. So it messed up their hair just a little bit. So I was always constantly trying to care from the hair. And oh my goodness, she had to wear a cowboy hat. It didn't even go with the theme of the photo. And so sit down and have a breather. Have a breather and don't go get professional photos if you're having a bad day because you will never appreciate those photos. They will remind you of that bad day.
Yeah.
So do stuff relaxing before you go and get professional photos. Go do something fun. Do your photos, then go do something fun. And then I do same day viewing, so I do the photos and then they go have lunch or go do something fun, and within a half hour then they can come back and look at their photos and decide which ones they want. So
I love that.
but if you're having a stressful moment, you're never going to enjoy the photos that you take in a stressful moment.
That's such a great tip. I love that. Thank you so much for joining us today, Beverly. It was a pleasure. And Royal Diamond Photography, is that correct?
Yeah.
Royal
Mm-hmm.
Diamond Photography. I appreciate that you being here. Your story is super inspirational. I love hearing everybody's stories, but it's so much more impactful in this kind of a situation and being able to really compound what you lived, how you lived it, and how you came out above it. And your willingness to be open about it is very much appreciated and needed. For those of you out there facing your own adversity, this is to know you are not alone. When you need an extra hand or mind for brainstorming during your mompreneur journey, we would love to work with you through the Mom Elevated Society. You'll find monthly check-ins for goal setting and assessing, and so much more for both you, your business, and your mom life. Until next time, keep shooting for the stars.